The person in charge of making sure Claude doesn't go rogue resigned with a letter. He warned that the world is in peril and announced his plan to move to the UK. Woo!
I'm using Telegram to prompt Claude code. I could be sitting on my couch and I can ask it to build a desktop app, and it does a good job. I feel like we're already living in the future. If you give an AI the task of building an efficient paperclip factory, eventually it's going to recognize that there's not enough material, so that I'll just take humans and turn them into paperclips.
As a consumer, I'm super excited. As a citizen of society, I think it's a scourge. And I think we're going to see the worst before we are going to see the best.
Welcome back, guys, to Bricks, Bucks, and Bytes. Today we have Mr. Luigi, the first survivor of the AEC Octagon, with us. What's going on, Luigi?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I missed that. Let me just do a little quick.
No worries.
hello.
I'll do the rest of this. Yeah, we'll talk about Luigi and what Luigi's been working on recently. He's becoming. I said this. I hope you don't mind me saying this again to you. But when you joined earlier before we went recording, I said he's become a bit of a hothead in the industry. So I'm liking.
Yeah, I'd love to understand. I'd love to understand what you mean, but I don't hate that. I think that's fine.
What I mean is that you are not afraid to share your opinion on artificial intelligence and where the industry is going at the, I don't want to say the expense, but at maybe of the fear or risk of upsetting a few other people. So we'll save that. We'll discuss that in a minute.
Sure.
And what else has happened this week? What's worth going into? Autodesk invest 200 million on World Labs. UK construction activity is down, if we will get there, which I don't think there's been much positive news about the construction industry in the UK of late. And then we will have some call-ins. We'll have Bertrand from Billdr and a founder who, according to the headlines, has raised over $1 billion. Looking forward to that.
Wow. It's a lot.
Yeah. Let's get into this. So, Luigi, I will keep this very open. What has been going on? Where's your brain?
Where's my brain? My brain's in two places. The first place is it's obviously provision. I'm thinking a lot about hitting and executing on our roadmap. If I just remind people what we're doing, we're trying to build AI estimators, really to help with some capacity constraints within general contractors and subs. And estimators do so many things. There's so many workflows. The funny thing is like, as I'm saying this, I can just see a Dustin in my mind rolling his eyes.
He's not here.
So I'm sure he'll comment on this later. But anyway, we focus on individual workflows. The agent that we're launching now is called Scope Agent. What Scope Agent does is it helps people in pre-construction and project managers generate scopes of work. It's a very error-prone workflow, which ends in a lot of disputes, quite honestly. But you input your documents, you get these perfect scopes of work, which are so accurate, it will blow your mind. We're launching that within the next month. We're in beta with customers, a lot of our existing customers, a lot of new customers, and the feedback so far has just been fantastic. It makes me really happy. But then obviously, so that's where my brain is right now. The second place is there's a lot of fear. I mean, AI is moving so quickly. What you're able to accomplish is kind of crazy. Like I built an app yesterday through Telegram, and as that proliferates in the market, I think it's fair to be scared about what's going to happen, right? Like, will my company be defensible? Will people want to buy software? Will it be agents just buying software? And so that's where the second half of my brain is. But it's all very positive and all very optimistic. It's just, there's a lot happening.
Luigi, I just wanted to pick your brain. You said a scope of work agent that will be creating scope of works, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, how are you approaching like non-obvious items that are included within, has to be included within a scope of work, or that they are not super obvious based on the drawings or the information, that there's some real intelligence required or some kind of inside knowledge of how to do things. How do you include for that?
So 3 ways. The first way is there are guidelines and guardrails that we've implemented on the product. So this is somewhat of a useless product before 75% DD. There's just not enough detail in the documents for us to create something that is useful to our customers. So before 75% DD,
DD is developed design development?
Yeah, design development. Yeah. So that's one way. The second way is there is actually a lot of discretion that an estimator has to use when they're deciding what is in scope and what is not in scope. We have an internal SME, subject matter expert. We have all the estimators on staff, and we go project by project and build these very detailed data sets where we have an estimator walk through a specific line item, let's say in miscellaneous metals. We see what our output is. And if it differs, we have a conversation about why, and we try and encode that knowledge into our agents. And when I talk about our agents, the agents are discipline specific and they're also drawing specific. So we'll have a plan agent, a detail agent, we'll have a schedule agent. There's various of them. And they make mistakes in various ways, and then we correct that. So we have incredibly detailed data sets. We have over hundreds of thousands of line items where we've verified that our agent's doing the right thing. That's the second way. And the third way is configurability. Some of our customers may want to assign, let's say, footings to themselves on this type of project. Some of them want to give it to the concrete formworker, and they can do that. So those three ways we try and eliminate ambiguity that's introduced through bad designs. We have to basically train our agents to think like an estimator. We encode their information basically through our data sets and then the resulting prompts. And then third, our customers have configurations to do the things that they want. But it is hard. It's hard. And you really cannot one-shot this with like a ChatGPT or Claude, which is what was really attractive to us product. We tried. You just cannot get anything above like a 0.2 F1. Yes, not yet. Not yet. But I don't think it will. Because there's never going to be any verifiability. Like they can't provide sources. They can't tell you where they got this information from. Maybe you could prompt it and get to like 0.7, but no one's an expert prompter to do that.
And how do you benchmark this 75% design development? Like what's 100%? Like what is the threshold for 75? Is it like a 3D design or like some more?
The quality, it's the quality of the drawings. So it's a standard term in like North American architectural circles. So they'll have like CD, which is contractual documents, and they'll have DD, the design documents, and they'll have IFCs. IFCs are last, and then they'll have the as-builts. So at design development, there's a certain criteria that they have to hit. There has to be a certain level of completeness in the details.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like a stage 3 equivalent, maybe mine over here.
Yeah, like RIBA. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Hey, Luigi, you mentioned this term one shot. So there's been some posts going around LinkedIn at the moment about a particular case of a company in the space announcing a contract review tool. I know you've had some thoughts and opinions on this. In fact, following the announcement of the company was Trunk Tools, they mentioned that they were releasing this contract review tool free of charge to the world. And then in addition to that, someone, I think it was Andrew, the CEO of Join, he put up a post releasing the contract review tool, not free of charge, but giving back to society, right? What I'm going to open this. Yes. I want to open this discussion up to everyone because it's kind of like a snapshot in the stage of AI where we're at right now. So, Luigi, if you want to give us your thoughts on this first, because you mentioned the term as well, just when you done that little intro skit about one-shotting. So, what's like contract review, one-shotting tools? Are we going to see more of this in the industry, do you think?
So yeah, I have an answer to this. I will say, here's my stake in this. We sell risk review product. Risk review does do contract review, and it also does spec review, and it does some drawing review. Okay, so I have a stake in this game. I really believe that contract review, the value of contract review is going to zero. It is being commoditized as we speak. I think it's shown in evidence by the fact that Trunk Tools releases a free tool for contract review. Previously we were paying for this. People were paying for this. Now I will say about the Trunk Tools tool, I haven't used it myself, but it is a lead generation form more than it is a free tool. You don't have access to the app. You're getting a report. There's no traceability to the documents that may be important for some people. So I wouldn't say it's like more of like a free tool per se, but it is definitely, it depends on your perspective. But contract review in general is trending to zero. If you talk to people who are in this space who use tools like ChatGPT, let's say Turner Construction. So Turner Construction, they were a customer of ours, the New York office. They churned and they went to OpenAI because OpenAI, sold them a very expensive enterprise package. But they could create an agent that was able to do a job that was probably 80%, maybe 85% of what we could do, good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good enough. I was talking to Mike and Andrew from Join about this recently. The thing about contract review is basically all the context to review a contract is contained within that 50-page document. There's a lot of context on these models. Okay, maybe it's like 10% of what's available. So I could just lob a contract in and say, think really hard, find me all the issues. I'm a contractor. And it will do a good job. It will do a good job. It won't be perfect. You can't trace the sources perfectly, but it will do a good job. So that means for most people who only care about good enough, they're no longer going to buy your $100 a project widget. They just won't. So I think over time, contract review fades away in general. That will be there for specific use cases, like I'm an in-house lawyer and this is my job. And, I need a certain process. It needs to be tied into this workflow, it needs to push into Salesforce. You will have a market there. But by and large, for most of the market where they don't have that, where they don't have in-house counsel, I think it goes away.
So question here, where is the contract being stored? And where is the action out of the review of the contract? Well, whatever action items arise from it, where are those being stored?
So the document is probably stored in whatever file system you use, like Google Drive, maybe, or SharePoint. And then the actions are usually to redline. And so the redline is going to be either done in-app within ChatGPT or in Claude. Claude Cowork, for example, has a plugin that will redline your document. We use it to redline our MSAs. It'll just create the document redlined, and then that can either live in a folder, either on Google Drive if it pushes to Google Drive, or on your desktop.
And what about the obligations that arise? Let's say you sign a contract, right? And then you have duties, obligations out of it, which can be triggered in multiple ways, right? So some of them might be regularly triggered, basically as time passes, a quarter passes, etc. Some of them could be incident triggers, and so like weather, for example, etc., etc. So I find it just fascinating that these would have to be stored somewhere, and so far it's not the LLM.
Yeah, what happens once you do get your comments back, right? You go, my contract's been reviewed, thank you. Even though it's like, there's so much risk that I never signed this thing.
Yeah, now the human has to decide if they want to implement those red lines, right? So if we're talking from, let's say, a general contractor, which is like usually what I think about, right? The GC will receive a document, let's say it's a negotiated deal. Well, I got the owner's paper, I don't like it, so I'm going to redline it. So, what they do in provision now is they have default positions, which will help them guide the red lines. That's a one click. And that's context that wouldn't be available if I just drag and drop my document in the documents. And so that's useful now. Okay. Those other workflows are useful, but what I'm saying is the value of the contract review tool is being eroded. And it's both being eroded by vertical players, let's say like Trunk Tools, horizontal players, like could be Palantir, it could be Spellbook, it could be Harvey. They're not in that space yet, but Legora, we went head to head with Legora on a construction deal. We won the deal for their pre-construction team, but they won the deal for the legal team. So horizontal there, and then models, right? And now Claude is going into legal, and I would bet money that OpenAI is going to go into legal too. So my perspective is, I think it's good for the industry to have access to these tools. Like we are thinking as well as there should be a component that's free. Like I do agree with Sarah in that respect. Some of those components should be free, and we want to make them free because I don't know if people should pay that much money when, let's say, Claude Code can do a decent job and get you 80% of the way there or 70% of the way there. So the industry will respond in kind. But like my view in general is that if you're slinging contract review software, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I will subscribe to
And
that.
most likely it's not just going to be contract review. It's going to be other specific point solution. I don't want to say the word point solution, but pain points perhaps that exist, which AI is solving, which where the out of the box LLMs will make them near to free as much as possible.
I would bet that 5 years from now, that would be like very obvious that the cost of these tools would be like, no one would even think that you have to pay for it, because that's like Google search, really. You just drop stuff in and Google search.
Did any one of you see actually the Anthropic Super Bowl ads to that point? I thought they were absolutely hilarious.
Only so bad by
The OpenAI ones? Oh, the OpenAI
yeah,
mockery.
where basically Anthropic took a shot at OpenAI. So I mean,
they were.
Altman was basically hinting at, oh yeah, we might also see ads in the free version of OpenAI soon, and then Anthropic took that basically that vacuum of a statement and turned it into an amazing set of
4 or 5
of ads where they basically they basically role played, hey, what is this going to look like when you talk to your mom or your psychiatrist. So absolutely hilarious. And to your point, right, Martin, so if the value goes to 0, then you have to be the product, like in search.
Do you know
the free user?
Did you also see, talking about things that will happen in the news, there's the Indian AI summit happening right now, and there was a video of Sam Altman and I can't remember the Anthropic Amade? Look at the
Amade.
Dario.
Dar Amade.
Yeah, they were all standing there lifting each other's hands, and Sam Altman and Anthropic guy, they wouldn't hold hands, right? to do this celebration. It was kind of strange, like fierce competition brewing.
Yeah, bad beef.
But is it real or AI?
Oh God, who knows? Who cares? That's what we should be saying. Hey Patric, I'm dying. I think the world might be interested to hear your current sentiment towards AI, as you've always had a differing viewpoint.
I don't think the world is dying to hear my sentiment towards AI. No, I think you're hyperboling. No, I mean, look, we briefly discussed it in the pre-brief. I come to very different sentiments myself, depending on which side of the prism I look at it, right? So as a consumer, I'm incredibly excited. I have transformed a lot of my personal workflows, found efficiencies where previously, I mean, to this, I had the last time I had a executive assistant was 2018, and since then I haven't had one. Out of choice. Now I feel I have one again because actually it works. So previously with executive assistant, my problem was I could actually never get efficiency out of it because it was just way easier for me to do it myself because I'm such a workflow ninja and so organized, so structured, so good at prioritizing. It was always more tedious for me to actually outsource work. But now I feel like it's actually doing that. So as a consumer user, I'm super excited. As a citizen of society, I think it's a scourge. And I think we're going to see the worst before we are going to see the best. It will bring upon very unbearable and hard to grow with, let's say, changes. As an investor, I'm pretty neutral to it. I have to say, I'm definitely not a unscrutinizable fanboy or anything. I'm also not a doomer. I evaluate it case by case, and then I don't know. As a observer of capital allocation, I find it funny. So there's depending on which side I look at it, I come to different feelings.
Why do you find
How about you, Owen?
Find it funny, Patric?
What? Sorry,
I find it funny because this is literally in many ways. Not following an evaluation of specific assets or specific opportunities. It is more of my incentives are to deploy kind of a game. So I find it funny from a macro capital allocation perspective.
I mean, like I'm person like with my blinkers on and thinking about my day to day, very excited and bullish on it. I have seen some things of late which are a little bit more concerning, in particular about some of the narrative that's been coming out as it relates to Anthropic and their safety chief quitting. And the reasons for that, I don't think have been have been left open to interpretation. But maybe there is like an existential issue happening right now. Maybe that's an obvious statement to say, and I think a lot of people are probably thinking that as well. Also, yesterday, Anthropic CEO said, there's a quote here, there's only a small number of years left for AI models surpassing the cognitive capabilities of most humans for most things. I think if you had shown me that like a year, 18 months or so ago, I would have been very skeptical, but some of the advances and how things have been going in like the last few months, it's starting to become a little bit more believable, this concept. I don't want to say artificial general AGI because that comes up in differing conversations in differing terms, but I do think that something peculiar is on the horizon.
I think it's here, personally. I think AGI is squarely here.
Yeah, go expand.
Well, if you look at what you can accomplish, even with some existing models, it's I mean, very generally intelligent. I mean, the definition of AGI always is kind of changing, and people keep moving the goalposts of what it can and what it can't do. But like from my perspective, like I was telling you earlier before the call, I'm using Telegram to prompt Claude code, and I could be sitting on my couch and I can ask it to build a desktop app, and it does a good job. And I'll pull from Git, and I can instantiate it on my computer, and it'll work. Or I can ask it to, with a shared calendar between me and my wife, go book me a reservation, and it can do that. So I feel like we're already living in the future. It's already happening. And I think now, like the capability is here. I think the distribution is really uneven. And I think what OpenClaw has shown us is exactly that. I mean, for people who are very tech literate, who can clone the repo and who can create OpenClaw on their computer, they have been blown away. And I made a LinkedIn post about this today. I think this is the next ChatGPT moment. What people have seen is, if I can bring the agents into my normal messaging channels, and if I can give it specific context and enough tools, it is AGI.
Everyone can do it.
Do you know?
Not everyone could. But not everyone can do it. So then it's not well distributed, which is why.
No. If it's on the on your Slack channel or Telegram channel, then everyone can do it. Once it's set up, then there's no barrier to kind of program this, right?
Yeah, and a work.
How much does it cost to have it running? Like, what are the costs involved?
Depends on the memory. So, for example, like we chose a virtual private server. Depending on the memory, ours is $12 Canadian a month.
Oh, for all of this, like you keep asking.
That's just the hosting, and then whatever you can give it whatever model you want, and whatever token consumption. It's a function of how often you're using it. But personally, like I have a personal implementation of this, and I'll spend $50 a month plus the $12, so it's 60 something. But that's just Claude tokens, and in my VPS, you can give it API access to everything, like anything, right? Like Brave browser searching, you can give it API access to Google Street View. Some people gave it API access for anything they can do via MCP. So the sky's the limit on what you spend, but it's all based on consumption. Yeah, but I think the future is bright in terms of productivity. I think for companies, I echo what Patric said earlier about thinking that it's going to destabilize some things for sure. Because again, it's here. I do believe it's here. And my definition of AGI is just a generally applicable or a useful tool that can solve a large variety of problems very well.
It'll be relative to your understanding of the world and what you need it for as well, right?
Yes, of course. I mean, like if you're Sam Altman, maybe he doesn't think AGI is here because it hasn't discovered a new element of physics. But that was recently released a few days ago that it has, and I think the industry will decide whether or not it has. But if you haven't seen this, OpenAI published a paper about it making a specific advancement in the world of physics.
That's cool.
And Sam Altman has been saying for a very long time, once that happens, then we have AGI. So, but the scientific community has to accept that. But again, going back to Patric's point, if we do have AGI and it's unequally distributed, I think you're going to see some negative consequences of that. And then when it is distributed, you're going to see even worse ones.
And it's gonna develop quicker than the frameworks of society can adapt to it, right? So that's where even in a way, I mean, we haven't really adapted society and safety from social media to what social media has done over the last 18 years or so. So it's it's fun. Always opens opportunities. So that's another perspective to look at it. And ultimately, humans prevail. It's just that the shape of the society can change. By the way, did Owen, was your point also that this AI researcher at Anthropic quit to study poetry? Was that the point?
Yeah.
So I have a nice lyrics here, of course, completely self-written. I did not use AI. He trained stars to speak in code and light, taught silent steel to reason through the night, then closed his laptop, seeking something free, and found his final model rhymed in poetry.
Nice. Nice.
Very good.
How would that sound in German?
A little bit harsher.
Very good. Very good.
It was a very cryptic goodbye. Was he head of safety, Owen, or was he?
Let me read this quickly. It says Miranak Sharma, head of Anthropic Safeguards research team, the person in charge of making sure Claude doesn't go rogue, resigned with a letter featuring footnotes, I can't pronounce this, Rilk poetry references, and a citation for something called cosmo-erotic humanism. He warned that the world is in peril and announced his plan to move to the UK, becoming invisible for a period and study poetry. His final project at Anthropic was studying how AI assistants could make us less human.
Very foreboding.
Sorry?
It's not a very pleasant message, is my point. Yeah, it raises some alarm bells. I mean, I wonder how much of this is sensationalized by this researcher. But I mean, I am also concerned too. But if you go into the real reason I think people are concerned, is because like these models obviously can do a lot of things. They're very capable. I think about it in terms of tool calling and in code generation. So Patric, let's say Patric likes my business. He wants to copy my business. Let's say he understands what my business does. If he puts in the right prompt with the right context, he can replicate it. And then if he creates an agent that has enough tools, maybe he can start that business. Like, I don't think we're exactly there yet, but it's going to happen. Like some elements of that is happening with enough handhold, with enough.
Wait, are we going back to my question from last year, which is still left unanswered? Why would I invest in vibe coders when the whole point of vibe coders is to vibe coders?
I think the concern is that I think they call it recursive self-improvement. And so if a model like Claude, for example, can recursively, let's say, spawn subagents or just identify the issues or the bottlenecks to its current goals and invest in itself by generating code to be able to accomplish that goal, then continue to spawn additional subagents or recursively self-improve, then you get some exponential takeoff in some capability, right? To accomplish some means. And this was the whole this was kind of that whole meme 2 years ago about paperclipping, right? If you give an AI the task of building an efficient paperclip factory, eventually it's going to recognize that there's not enough material, so that I'll just take humans and turn them into paperclips. And if it does a sole focus, which is a KPI, which is I need to maximize paperclips, then I'm going to do anything in my power to accomplish that goal. Recursive self-improvement will allow it to get to that point where it can maximize the output of, let's say, a given KPI. And that's like somewhat of a fear. But this whole Anthropic thing, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a red herring. I don't know if it's as sensational as people are saying it is.
Shall we let Bertrand in and talk about Billdr?
Hi, Owen.
How's it going, man? You good?
Can you hear
Bertrand.
me?
We can hear you, yes.
Yep. Hi, everyone.
Yeah.
You are in... Whereabouts are you based? Quebec, is it?
Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Same place as Luigi. Well, same country.
Well, kind of. Same country. Hey, Bertrand, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good, Luigi. Where are you exactly, Luigi?
We're in Toronto.
Okay, Toronto, sir.
Okay, Bertrand. Well, congrats. You guys raised
Since the British lost the War of Independence, they don't really care where your cities are anymore. So.
Wow,
that's a good one.
Okay. So Billdr just raised, Bertrand, you just raised $3.2 million seed round. So tell us a little bit more about Billdr and understand your targets in the SMB world or the construction industry.
Sure. I mean, I'll tell you a bit about the story, the full story, not like the pink colored story. So we started like 6 years ago. The first version of the business was a home renovation marketplace. So we wanted to go a little bit further and, like the marketplace, the lead gen marketplaces like NG and the others. So we decided to get involved in a transaction. All right. So be like a full home managed home renovation marketplace, because we really thought that it would be easier to get the attention of GCs. And in the process of building this managed marketplace, we had to build software for GCs and software for homeowners to have just much better renovation experience. And so we scaled pretty well. We're doing like at peak 40 million in GMV. We were like serving 3 cities: Montreal, Toronto, and Chicago. And then interest rate rose, as I think a lot of you remember, 2022, and it really started to expose certain like type of business models, in particular marketplaces around that time. So you see a lot of marketplaces shut down around that time. Really ask us some question. And at the time, in parallel, we had another dynamic that GCs really loved the features that we were building for them. And they asked us at the time, like, hey, can you just open and let us use your features for our customers? So that was the third kind of like insight. So we made the hard decision in summer 2023 to change direction completely. So I went through all of things that you can imagine, mass, like huge layoff. And I kept like 10 employees core, and we decided to go into a new direction. It would be like a full-on vertical SaaS. So full-on operating system for GC, so the entire back office, financial infrastructure, and more. So it took us like, I would say, a solid like year to shut down the marketplace because we wanted to serve customers and rebuild the product. So the new product itself is not even 2 years old, I would say. It's like probably like 2 years old, I would say. So full-on vertical SaaS, as you can imagine, modern. So so that's what we do. Like, just to be very clear, who we serve are just GCs, SMB GCs. So you can think residential GCs, commercial GCs, and custom home builders. So the opportunity we've seen in the market was, I mean, you're all like construction tech experts here. So what we've seen was that the trades layer is really well served, like plumber, electrician, etc., like Service Titan, Household Pro, Jobber. Then you have the middle layer, the SMBGCs, that we thought, but it's just all solutions, right? So I'm not going to name the solutions. You know them. They're very old. And we said, okay, cool. We're going to build a modern version of what it should be in 2026, because we just don't believe that the millennials and the Gen Z and the next generation are going to use those old solutions. So let's just build a modern version. And then you have the, enterprise GC layer with the Pro Core, the Autodesk, and all of that. So really, really in the middle, serving the SMBGCs, if that's clear.
Hey Bertrand, are you competing with like I know you're obviously targeting a different segment of the market, but presumably a number of the customers that you speak to use a tool like Procore and Autodesk. So what's the why would they choose you over someone like that in that scenario where like maybe they are already using a bigger tool?
The speech is simple. They come to us. Just to be very clear, at the middle, so I explained the 3 layers, like, right, the trades, the SMB GC, the enterprise GCs. At the fringe versions, at the limit, you have some GCs who are big enough. We have like over 50 employees. We were not satisfied with the solutions that are on the market. There are maybe Excel and all of those and other solutions. They're too old. And then there is Procore. And they look at it, they're like, okay, we need it. But man, this thing is not intuitive.
Too expensive.
First, it's like expensive, and 2, it's not intuitive. So they come to us now, even those who we don't advertise to them because we really serve the SMBGCs, but the more feature we build, the more they're like, oh my God, you guys are like right on the money. That's exactly what we're looking for. So it's really the main reason. It's like they're looking for a very intuitive solution. That's my name.
Hey, Bertrand, I'm right now on your pricing page, so I can see somewhere, I can get started for 2,500 a month, and then can go all the way up to 6, 7.
You mean 200, months, 200 a month?
Yeah, exactly. And then per year, what was I saying months? So 2,500 per year.
1,000.
Yeah, per year, and then all the way up to 6,000 to 7,000 per year. So these are your ACVs. How have you cracked your distribution motion at these ACVs? Like, so maybe not the secret, but how are you going?
I went to the contrary of what investors would tell you. Outbound sales, it works fantastic. So when I showed that to initially, like when we pivoted, initially investors were like, you got to go to a project-led motion. I'm a consultant by background. I talk that like spreadsheet VCs, just talk about project-led like motion. No. It was brute force, outbound sales. And then you have to put in place the right operations, the right automations. You have to have a great team. We have an amazing team, honestly. and to have the tactics to actually make it work. If you look at our numbers, they're just great. Outbound sales work really well. You just know what to get. You just know what you have to do. And then the next strategy, and that's very important, Patric, it's, you've seen the different fraction options. When you start at the beginning, you have to have some kind of guts and tell you about how you structure your pricing strategy. And then after that, it's all about just build more product. The more product you build, the more you can now refine your offering, the more you can raise prices or create just more bundles. So yeah, but we're still in the process of perfecting. We're launching a ton of new product in the coming weeks. So it's going to lead to a new thinking into our pricing strategy, but it's standard steps of building a vertical SaaS. I think you've seen that across all of the big vertical SaaS, right? They went to that journey of thinking about evolving their pricing strategy as they went on it.
Your space is not easy to distribute, and and you'll certainly be the first to have made that experience. So congrats that it works very well for you. And secondly, what I like about the space on the other side though is I would bet, and I'm invested in a similar business like yours, actually in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually bet that this is one of the SaaS that will be the least disrupted by AI and AI agents. It will be extremely sticky just because a person that runs their own business is out in the field, etc. Even if you give them better tooling every month, they're not going to switch every month.
So it's without saying more, you said everything. Yeah, it's true.
Bertrand, I have a question.
Hey, Bertrand. Oh yeah, go on, Luigi.
So I remember when you were scaling to Chicago last time we spoke. When
that's true.
Semiana one way. Obviously pivoting, it's a big deal. I feel I congratulate you for making that move because it can be obviously very hard.
Appreciate
in this model where you're outbound based, obviously getting the decision maker on the phone, the right person on the phone, can be hard, and there's probably multiple touches. What is that urgent hook that you use? If it is secret sauce that you're comfortable sharing, what is the workflow or the specific wedge that you use to say, hey, we need to get this thing going now? Because this is a system of record. This is a big lift, and there's probably a lot for them to do. So is there a specific point that you're targeting to say, okay, let's increase sales velocity this way?
Here's the stat, and I'm surprised I haven't seen it more somewhere. 75% are still on Excel. 75% of SMB GCs. Okay, even today, 2026. I'm seeing the stats every day. Right? They're tired. They're okay, they see ChatGPT, they see all those AI tools, and they're hey, how can I estimate faster? But the thing is, so when you can start with a pain point of saying something, because effectively you call, and then usually there's at least two decision maker, right? It will be the GC and his spouse, or the GC and the business partner. But there is always one person who does the admin, right? Who does the major bulk of the admin. So you just want to talk to that person because that person is living all the total pain points. That's the first insight. The second insight is they're tired of paying for 5 solutions. They don't want to pay 5 apps. So there's too many point solution in construction tech of oh, I'm just going to build the financial workflows because it's easy, the fintech workflows. Oh, I'm just going to build the timesheet feature. Oh, I'm just going to build the picture or taking daily logs on the picture. No, they're tired of that, right? They want all in one. So you just talk about those 2 things, and they're okay, let me see what you have. They will always tell you okay, I had this pitch 10 times. But okay, fine. Just let me take 10 minutes and watch what you guys have. And yeah,
that's great. Yeah, you've clearly cracked the kind of persona pain point.
Martin, you want to go?
I've got a few, yes.
Just one or two.
Brace yourself.
Yeah, Martin likes to just keep asking questions.
What would be the smallest within your segment? What would be the smallest GC you could take on? I don't know. Give some features, size or revenue,
the smallest
infrastructure, and the largest.
Okay, smallest GC is solo GC. I just started my business and I'm just using subs for everything. And we closed our largest customer recently. It's close to 100 employees. So but it didn't start that way. That's what's very important, because I tell you, and I was telling that to investors when we pivoted, it's At the beginning, it was just small GCs. Why? Because we didn't have enough features. Now we're getting bigger GCs coming to us. So if you ask me like, what is it going to be tomorrow? I don't know. I just tell you what it is today. Like what was the beginning was small GCs. Now I'm seeing bigger and bigger GCs comes because you just have more features. You can sort of support a scope of them. But yeah, so it's very surprising. And you would ask me like, well, are they just doing residential? Yeah, and light commercial. Yeah, even I was surprised to see like some GCs are like just a lot of employees and still serving residential and light commercial. Yeah.
Okay, and how would you see the future of system of records? Are they going to will we see on a job post that I'm looking for an assistant who will be dealing with my Billdr platform, or like are the system of records going to be more intuitive, less annoying maybe, or more smooth, so that they wouldn't require that much admin? Like what are your thoughts here?
So yeah, Matt, that's great questions. The way I think about it, like it's like the world of construction software. I think the first one is like, let's just build a great solutions. Like I'll talk about AI soon, right? Like, but today it's more like when I say 75% are still in Excel, first, like let's just start to build like a great solution without even talking about AI, like just a great solution that works and everything they can expect to have. But the good news is that, okay, we've done kind of that chapter 1. Now we talk about this as like a second chapter for Billdr right now. And we think about AI workflows and everything. We're really like calculating how much time we're saving. So now we're launching out a bunch of like, AI solutions across the entire spectrum of the software. And it's exactly that. It's just automating like the random and, regular tasks that you're going to have. In the future, honestly, like, I think what you're going to see is that you're going to see a shrinking admin back office. You don't need as many people to run the back office anymore. So you still need someone because there's just way too many information that's circulating on a daily basis, especially if you have a GC who's running like 5 to 10 job sites at the same time. They need someone, that's still in the back office. Like even if most of the redundant recurring tasks on expenses, POs and scheduling and all that are still there. You still need someone who has kind of an oversight, but you probably won't need as many people as today you'd need for a scaling company. And I think what I hope to see, and it's also something that we're looking into, what is the failure rate of the GCs that are using our software? I think on the long run, I want to see that. I hope that we can help increase the success rate of construction companies, because basically like there's the messy middle. I don't know if you guys know that, but you know that you're also construction. Like it's like you're a GC, you start, you have 2-3 employees. It's very hard to go from 2-3 to 10. And I think a lot of companies fail here, or go at least in North America, and go bankrupt into that journey. And I think that the insight is that they didn't have the right processes to track their profitability effectively on this. And if you can provide a software solution that allows them to do that. And the reason they don't track their profitability is that they don't make enough money to be able to pay for an admin full time to do that well. So that messy middle makes like you work 10, 11 hours a day on the job site, you're tired in the evening, you're not very tight on your financials and your income. So hopefully our software allows to unlock more of that time and allow GC to just be a lot more efficient and therefore. So that's basically what I'm thinking so far. I don't know. Let's see what happens 10 years, but I tend to think in like steps this way, and then we'll see what happens.
Very cool. Hey, Bertrand, we have to end that there because we got someone else coming in, but thank you for joining us, man. Good luck, yo.
No worries.
Thank you.
Good luck, Bertrand.
Bye.
See you. Okay, next up we have Jodok.
Cool pivot.
Hey, Jodok.
Hey, Jodok.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Jodok, what's up?
Hi, Jodok.
Okay, how are you?
Doing great. Good to see you.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, good. Yeah, we can hear you all good, man. Yeah, so let me tease everyone with the headline here. So I'll take this directly from the article which went out. I think it was Forbes, maybe was the publication. More than $1 billion to $1 billion with a B to green Europe's homes, which is made up of $22 million Series A and $1.2 billion debt facility. Why so much, man?
I mean, the energy transition is a really capital intense challenge that we need to solve. And I think energy is becoming, one of the most strategic resources out there. in order to solve the next challenges we have. And one of them, of course, is AI and being competitive. And yeah, this requires a lot of energy. And I think our system is not built in the right way where we can just kind of continue the way we do. So I think our target is to make all the households energy independent. And yeah, that requires a lot of money and a lot of capital and support. And most of the households do not have that capital available to pay it in cash up front for, I don't know, installation like solar battery, heat pumps, and so on. So we help them to make it accessible and to offer that for like a monthly payment of 100 to 200 euros and start saving money from day one. So that's kind of how we want to approach it and how we want to make energy kind of accessible to the mass market customer.
Very cool. Can you just tell us, Jodok, quickly, because a number of people listening maybe don't understand the product and exactly what you guys do. So if you could just introduce the company and then we can go a bit deeper.
Of course. So yeah, we started ClueWorth 2.5 years ago with the target to bring the energy transition forward and make any household energy dependent, give them access to energy in a more efficient way and save money from day one onwards. And we do that through the whole existing installation network that is already out there. It's a hyper fragmented market. More than hundreds of thousands of installers are doing more than 90% of the work. So there's only a few big integrated players who do less than 10% of all the installations out there. So yeah, that's why we figured out the most scalable way to approach this problem is to actually help those players with an AI operating system that helps them be more efficient, gives them access to capital, helps them be more liquid along the value chain, also in procurement processes, and does the energy management for them as well. And combining those different pillars, so software, AI workflow tools, financing, procurement, and energy, that's exactly what those SME players out there need in order to be competitive and be in feature parity. So that's kind of what we built for them, fully focusing on empowering them to be more efficient and be able to solve the challenges along the value chain to bring energy out to every household in a more efficient way.
And you are operating in Europe or outside of Europe as well?
Currently Europe focused. We started in Sweden, Switzerland, and the Netherlands, then moved to Berlin to start the German market. And now a lot of the traction is in Germany as it's one of the biggest markets and well growing, well supported. And now after the race, we're going into new markets such as France, UK, just started in Austria last month. And excited to roll out on a pan-European level.
Jodok. Oh, sorry, Martin, go ahead.
Why Europe is a good geography for your business?
I think, of course, Europe is a wide continent with different regulations, different support systems. So, of course, in terms of expansion plans, we look at each market from a bottom-up and top-down perspective. But there's many countries, and Europe overall supports the energy transition very well, wants to be able to have certain regulations. So, for example, from 2030 onwards, every new building has to have renewable energy installations and just make sure that the electrification progress is being done in a proper way. There's, of course, subsidies, but even without subsidies nowadays, due to efficiency steps forward, it is possible to have a profitable investment without any of the subsidies. And I think that's the most important, to not be relying on government. But overall, yeah, I think we have a good combination of regulatory support, of customer understanding, of energy price, volatility, and different factors for a household to think, actually, I want to be energy independent and save money on a monthly basis and get this accessible through a kind of a financing play, which of course is also being done really normally in the automotive industry. So more than 80% of all the cars are being financed. So why would the mass market customer out there pay all those energy installations cash up front? It doesn't really make sense. So making it accessible is really the key to bring this out into the mass market customer. And so energy in Europe is a topic which is widely discussed and being appreciated as one of the important ones. And I think now also in the US and all the other markets, it has become one of the main topics out there, not only to become more green and sustainable, but actually to be competitive over the long run. And I think this is what most of the people now understand.
Yeah, Luigi, you go.
Yeah, well, congratulations on the Series A and the monster debt facility round. That's crazy at Series A. But I see in the article on Forbes that you have over 100 million in run rate, which I think would help explain that. But what does the 1.2 billion do for you in terms of impact? Because obviously you say in the article financing was a constraint. And then two, I mean, we'd love to understand a little bit more about how you actually secured the debt, right? Like for a relatively new company, like when I recently closed my seed, it was a much smaller $8 million, $7 million seed. You can usually get a subset of your MRR or the amount that you raise. But obviously, like this is quite a large amount, which is amazing, and congratulations. But we'd love to hear your thoughts there.
Yeah, it's quite a large amount.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it has also been a journey to get there. I think our first facility was like 5 million, then went to 100, and now the 1.2 billion, and it has been kind of a journey to get there, to basically show track record of our installations through our partner network, the quality of it, default rates, and so on, which have been very good. And of course, overall, the appetite of European investors and banks to get exposure to those installations, right? These are house owners, mostly husband and wife, who own a house, who already have quite a good credit quality, but maybe, I don't know, have a remark or something and would not get a normal loan from a bank anymore. And we are not only looking at the credit history, but also calculating in the future energy savings. And we're also supported by the European Investment Fund. They give us a guarantee of over 300 million that covers much of the default risk. So these banks are actually incentivized to give better rates and give access to maybe households that would not get a loan from a bank to be able to do such an installation. So it has really been an important part of our journey to go through those steps and first start with normal warehouse facilities and then also transform the business into a more asset light model and get into kind of forward flow agreements where we originate those loans, we service them, and we sell them off. We sell off the receivables to the bank's balance sheet. So for us, it's much more asset light and more scalable compared to holding all those assets on your own balance sheet. So I think that has been a crucial part in our journey and a big milestone, which makes the business model much more scalable. And also, of course, has an impact on overall scalability and also appetite from, let's say, more venture type of investors for the future.
And do you know like a number of what you're targeting is output wise, X many homes or X many countries? How are you thinking about in terms of impact?
I mean, we will not stop raising debt facilities, right? This is one now. I think this will help us probably the next 2.5 years. I think this year we plan a bit more than like 300 million, and then I think another 500 to 700 million the year after. And so, yeah, I mean, we do have a wide investor pool on the debt side. We have around 4 lenders at the moment, and we're currently speaking to all the big names. So I think this whole announcement, of course, also helped to start conversations again with the big ones who are interested in such kind of exposure. So yeah, we're really excited to see the demand out there for the credit that we kind of offer and originate, because again, these are good credit partners. These are revenue generating installations who decrease their energy costs, increase savings, and basically improve their credit quality. And that's kind of exciting for us to see going forward. So I think, yeah, in the next 2 to 3 years, we plan to do, I think, 30,000+ installations. Very often it's combined solar, battery, heat pump, AC, or energy renovations, and more these projects cost you between 20 to 50, 60,000 euros. So very similar to a car. And again, most of the mass market customer out there doesn't have that money cash available. So that's why we think offering it as a monthly payment is crucial.
Super ambitious, Jodok. I really love listening to it. And, we've met each other 2.5 years ago. So amazing to see your journey. Have you thought about what is the first sentence in your IPO brochure or post-IPO in your Wikipedia?
Haven't thought about it actually. We're not there yet, but let me think about it in the next conversation.
But on a more serious note, right? So, what's the next bottlenecks? Because clearly, right now, it's not capital.
Yeah, I think for now it's really about going out there and being able to educate all those installers that we work with. Right, we don't go direct to the end customer, which sometimes makes things easier in explanation and a story, versus we have to educate all those thousands of installers and their hundreds of thousands of sales reps how to be active in the new world, how to offer it, how to use our AI co-pilots, how to adapt to the new way of working. And this is a lot of work and a lot of educational work and a lot of product work, of course. So I think that's kind of where we are really investing. So really into the AI features of our product and into making all that knowledge kind of accessible to every single partner of ours in a scalable way.
I mean, in a business like yours, it's treacherously complex and amazingly simple, a business like yours. And I think the beauty of operating it at scale is actually that you handle all the complexity in spite of the simplicity. So why I'm saying it that way, right, is ultimately you could break down a business like yours into very few components: cost of acquisition, cost to serve, cost of capital, and somewhere in the middle, you need to be the greatest at the origination and the underwriting. Sounds so simple, but actually it's immensely complex because you have to deal, I mean, the origination at scale of such a fragmented amount of loans is actually very, very difficult. There's reasons why banks cannot do it. And then you must be doing the underwriting yourself, right? So it's not just that you're only brokering.
No, exactly. We do the underwriting ourselves. And again, right, we also calculate in energy savings. We fully understand the processes of the installers. We understand the assets that we install. We understand the end customers better. And I think that's exactly why we can offer a more sophisticated underwriting compared to a normal bank who just looks at the credit history and is not really interested in the assets or don't understand the assets well enough. We also do have an energy management system that actually controls the assets and the performance of it, so we can be really close to when something happens and maybe not good to send someone to buy and fix it so it's being paid again, so the default risk is much lower again. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a highly complex value chain because it starts from procurement and many bottlenecks around working capital, because there's more than 100 billion that are invested in Europe in residential in renewables, and 90% go through a small balance sheet of an SME installer. So you can imagine how many choking points there are. Then there is installation efficiency, then there is the financing of it, and then of course also the managing, controlling of those assets and the performance over 25 years. And then also managing that energy and start making those households energy participants in the grid, start optimizing it, selling it to your neighbors. So there is a huge value chain with a lot of potential, and it's a very complex business. But it's also a big vision that we're following, and that's why we're very excited to work hard on it the next many years. So it's definitely not getting boring here. And as I said, it's a hyper fragmented market with thousands of installers. And it's exciting to see how many young, great talents are working in that space, and they're starting new companies that are much more AI driven, much more process driven, that understand why it should be offered as a monthly payment instead of the 20, 30K upfront investment. So things are changing. Our partners are evolving and they're growing. And I think it's quite exciting to see how many companies we can make successful here, and of course how many end customers and households we can make energy independent.
Very cool.
I've got one.
Last one, Martin.
How do you make money? At what point do you guys make money?
So we do charge a software fee from the installer. That's our main source of revenue, as the installer is really able to make incremental revenue with us. And there's of course the end customer who chooses a financing option. They pay a certain interest rate on that loan that they choose. We do have an energy management system and an own energy contract that we offer to those households. So we become the main energy partner of those households. And we do have add-on services such as insurance, service contracts, and we also help them be more efficient on procurement and material financing, which basically rounds it all up. So we have different revenue sources, but the biggest part of it is software fees from the installers.
Nice, nicely diversified.
Okay, Jodok, thank you so much, and good luck, and see you for the IPO announcement. To Patric's point, yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, Jodok. Good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, that one I think is the biggest
complexity ever.
Yeah, and financial kind of
engineering
facilitation we've had on Bricks and Bytes. Okay, look, guys, I think we need to wrap up. We didn't get into the news of Autodesk dropping $200 million on World Labs, but obviously that news is kind of...
Let's hear Dustin's rant next week on that one.
Okay, yeah. So,
yeah, I wanted to rant on the UK economy. That's okay,
yeah.
Come on, that is just an evergreen. You can do that every
Can I
week.
just leave everyone with something positive, which maybe is the sentiment of the conversation we had today. Okay, so it's the middle of February. This will be quick. It's middle of February here. It's that time of year where we're all a little bit like, fed up of winter, and it's hard to rile up the energy for your working day. And on Monday, I had a conversation with a particular person. They're an executive. They work for a general contractor, a few $1 billion revenue each year. So I was feeling a little bit like low on energy before this call, and then we had a great chat. And he really, really riled me up about the industry. He said it's the biggest time in his career where he has felt the need to like invest and look and try and implement technology throughout like their entire organization. And he said if you're an executive not listening or paying attention, like it's curtains for you. And this is the quote and the analogy that he gave to me, which I'll leave with everyone on a good note. It says, it was a surfing analogy. It says the technological swell is here. Most leaders are just swimming, enjoying the sun, making money, business as usual. A few are paddling hard towards the swell. It feels like a lot of effort with no results. But when the wave breaks, the ones paddling will separate from everyone else at a pace no one else can catch.
But I'll just say that someone has to serve the surfers.
I was trying to
serving market is the next $1 billion startup.
What if the swirl is a maelstrom?
Okay, guys.
That's a good point. What if it's a tsunami? Nobody makes it out.
All right, Luigi. Great hosting. Anytime you want, man, you come.
Seeing you all. Thanks, Owen, Martin, Patric, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Books and Bytes.